The story you are about to hear is based on real events that took place in Morocco, with some names and details changed because of the horrifying nature of what happened. Everything begins in Ramadan in the year 2005, in a city called Ben Ahmed in Morocco, with an Arabic teacher named Salim. He was in his 40s, married, with a son and a daughter, living a very ordinary life between home, school, and private lessons. Everyone in his neighborhood loved him because of the kindness in his voice and face. He was financially comfortable, generous with everyone, and he often prayed in the grand mosque of the city, a mosque famous across the whole region of Kasimat. Sometimes he even taught Quran lessons there after prayer, especially during Ramadan when children had just returned from their mid-year break. Every day, he stopped by the local vegetable seller who was also responsible for cleaning the mosque. They were friendly, and Salim always asked him about the state of the mosque. On the 17th of April, 2025, Salim told his wife that he would go from school directly to 2 private lessons, finish quickly, buy everything she needed, and then return home. He promised he would call her at noon to check on her. But when noon came, his wife received no call. She tried calling him several times, but he never answered. She grew worried and asked their son to call his father's colleagues at the school. One of the teachers answered and told the boy something shocking. Salim never came to school that day, and they had assumed he was sick. Panic spread immediately through the family because Salim had not missed a day of school in 30 years. His son rushed to the mosque to ask if his father might be there, but the imam told him that Salim almost never prayed Dhuhr at the Grand Mosque because he was usually busy at school. The boy ran back to the school to confirm once again that his father had not been there. The teachers and the principal became just as worried when they saw the boy out of breath and nearly crying. The principal suggested that maybe Salim was visiting a friend or had been in an accident and advised the boy to check the nearest hospital. The boy, his mother, and the school principal went from hospital to hospital the entire day, but Salim was nowhere to be found. That evening, they filed a missing person report at the police station. Because Salim was well known and respected, the police took the case seriously. Search operations began immediately and continued for 2 days without any success. Then, on the 20th of April, around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, people started gathering at the Grand Mosque for Asr prayer. One of the worshippers rushed to the mosque's cleaner and told him that the women could not enter the women's restroom because the door was locked and there was a terrible smell coming from inside. The cleaner hurried to the restroom, broke the lock, and entered. Inside, he found a large black bag next to the toilet, surrounded by bloodstains and small pieces of flesh. The bag had torn open, revealing pieces of bone. At first, they assumed it was the remains of an animal, but when they looked closer, they found pieces of flesh stuffed inside the toilet pipe as if someone had been trying to hide them. Realizing something was terribly wrong, they called the police. Within minutes, officers and forensic doctors arrived. At first, the remains looked so shredded and damaged that they assumed they belonged to an animal. The skin and muscle had been stripped from the bones, and many pieces were missing. But initial analysis revealed a horrifying truth. The remains were human, and only half a body was present. News of the discovery spread instantly through the city. Salim's son rushed to the police station and begged them to test the remains to see if they belonged to his father. But the forensic team explained that identifying a person from such fragmented remains would be extremely difficult. Police gave the bag to trained dogs and began searching for more remains. After days of searching, they found additional body parts in a small water drain near the school where Salim worked. When the forensic lab examined the new remains, they matched the pieces found in the mosque. But something strange appeared. The bag contained 12 fingers instead of 10.
Police questioned Salim's son to confirm if his father had any deformities. The boy said his father had a normal set of fingers. Forensic tests later proved that the extra 2 fingers did not belong to Salim at all. Suddenly, the case turned from a murder to the hunt for a serial killer. Police checked all recent missing persons reports. The most recent one before Salim's disappearance was from 20 days earlier, filed by the wife of a man named Walid. Walid was 40-something, working on farmland near Ben Ahmed. He had a wife, a son, and a daughter.
On the day after Eid, he told his wife he was going to the farm to clear his mind, but he never came back. When police found the 2 extra fingers, they began searching the farmland for remains. The dogs barked at a spot beneath a tree. After digging, officers found 2 black bags containing shredded human remains similar to those of Salim, stripped of skin, missing organs, and partially eaten. The liver was missing, just like in Salim's case. DNA analysis confirmed that the remains belonged to Walid. The news shocked all of Morocco. Newspapers and television channels covered the crimes daily. Fear spread everywhere. People began whispering about organ trafficking, especially since important organs like the liver were missing. As the case became national, the story reached Parliament. Some politicians spoke publicly about mental health and the danger of untreated psychological disorders, suggesting that whoever committed these crimes might suffer from severe mental illness. Public opinion split into 2 groups: those who believed in organ trafficking and those who believed a serial killer was living among them. Police continued investigating. They began looking at people in the city with a history of mental illness. One name stood out: a man known as Sin R, also called Bouleya. He was the vegetable seller at the mosque whom Salim greeted every day. According to neighbors, he was the madman of the neighborhood. Kids threw stones at him, and people avoided him because he was unpredictable and aggressive. He was in his 50s with a long white beard, always wearing wide robes and a small cap. He had a wife, a son, and a daughter enrolled in engineering school, and many people used to respect him when he was mentally stable. But his wife had noticed disturbing changes. He became violent, insulted her, hit their daughter, and started behaving aggressively in the streets. Videos spread of him shouting, threatening children with knives, and acting strangely in public gardens. Eventually, his family admitted him to a psychiatric hospital, but the doctors released him shortly after, saying they could not treat his condition. His behavior worsened until even the mosque banned him from entering. Salim, ironically, had once defended him, but he was also one of the people who asked that he no longer be allowed inside the mosque because of his inappropriate behavior. When police arrested him, he was reciting Quran loudly, oblivious to his surroundings. Investigators quickly realized he was mentally unstable to a severe degree and unlikely to have planned such complex murders. Still, the public suspected him because the police kept him in custody. Meanwhile, investigators continued questioning all 7 workers responsible for cleaning the mosque. None of them had any criminal record, and all insisted that only they had keys to the mosque bathrooms. Then, on the 26th of April, police found a small paper near the farmland where Walid's remains had been discovered. It listed 5 names, written in messy handwriting. The first 2 names were Salim and Walid. The 3 remaining names belonged to people who were still alive and had never reported any danger. The blood on the paper matched Walid's. This discovery proved that the killer planned multiple murders like a sequence. That same night, police raided a hidden clinic run by a surgeon rumored to be involved in organ trafficking. They found a human liver, carefully preserved, but it did not match either victim's. Rumors spread that it belonged to a third, unknown victim whose remains were never found. The next day, on the 27th of April, police uncovered a series of videos showing a man wearing a white robe and a blue vest carrying black bags into the mosque at dawn. Another video showed the same man burying a similar bag in the farmland on April 5th, the day after Walid disappeared. A third video from April 17th showed him meeting Salim near an abandoned house. His robe had bloodstains and he covered his face with a cloth.
He entered the house with Salim, and only he came out later, running toward the Grand Mosque. Police stormed the abandoned house and found horrifying evidence. Another list of names, human remains belonging to unknown victims, knives, cleavers, burned pieces of flesh, charcoal used for roasting human organs, and multiple white robes stained with blood. They also found a second copy of the mosque's bathroom key. Incredibly, the house belonged to Sin-ar and his family before he went mad. Although he never confessed and psychological evaluations proved he was severely ill, the physical evidence linked him directly to the killings. Some people believed he was guilty. Others believed he had been manipulated or driven insane by something darker, especially because rumors began to spread claiming he had fallen under the influence of black magic, which could explain how his life flipped overnight. In court, he received a life sentence under Moroccan law, with the possibility of extension or execution if he was ever proven mentally stable, something experts say is nearly impossible. The case was closed, without confirmation of how many victims there really were, whether all the remains were identified, or someone else was involved. And this leaves one final question, a question that still haunts everyone who heard the story. If Sin-ar truly lost his mind, then who was the one who wrote the list of names with such cold, deliberate intention?